There is nothing wrong with your radio.
Do not attempt to adjust the volume.
We are controlling the broadcast.
For the next hour we will control all that you hear.
You are about to experience the knowledge and insights of the Media Mothership.
All right, you're listening to Media Mothership, broadcasting out of Edge Radio Studios in Nipaluna, Hobart, Tasmania. On Media Mothership, we explore how media can shape our understanding of the world around us. As always, we're streaming on edgeradio.org.au, as well as on YouTube and Twitch. Just search for Media Mothership. You can message us live in the studio on 048888 11707 or reach out to us in the chat on YouTube Live or Twitch. I'm your host, Craig, joined as always by Taylor.
Hello.
And special guest Marcus.
Hey guys, how are we?
We're good, thank you. And today's topic, we're diving into one of the paloozas, one of the many paloozas that have tagged itself to an event. And this is the first time this palooza is linked to wrestling, right? Wrestlepalooza. This is a new term for the wrestling landscape, right? And we're going to critique whether this is a good or bad thing. I know it's been one of these. I'm looking online before when you pitched this topic, Marcus. I was looking online, and normally WWE has been hitting a lot of stuff out of the park, right? We've got Cena's final year. It's really exciting. But Wrestlepalooza, wow, is it a palooza too far? Right? Maybe if they didn't call it palooza. No, the problem's not the palooza. Anyway, we'll dig into that, all that and more on Media Mothership today on Edge Radio. Welcome back to Media Mothership. Everyone's headphone levels are good?
What?
The musical interlude was pretty cool. I do bring out my kalimba when the opportunity arises. So it can get a bit heavy. All right, so I want to play a clip first, if I go to my playlist. So this is Wrestlepalooza 2025. And one of the things around it, actually, I can't remember what this one is. Let's just dive into it, though, as a way to get it going.
WWE is making history this weekend. For the first time ever, Wrestlepalooza is streaming live on ESPN. For the first time ever, a WWE premium live event will stream on ESPN platform. It's called Wrestlepalooza, and it's happening in Indianapolis. This move is huge because it connects WWE directly with ESPN's massive sports audience, and fans are already buzzing about how this could change future events. Do you think this ESPN deal will make WWE even bigger, or will it lose some of its special vibe?
All right, so
Can I just say, first of all, I hate that voice.
It's that
AI
I don't know
voice.
which one that is. Yeah, it's not Davis from Clip Champ.
It's from TikTok.
Is it?
Yes.
We don't. Yeah.
And it's just like glass in my eyes.
It's like a old-timey 1920s kind of. Well, it's too early for that. Maybe from 1940s radio announcer mixed with a huckster, a kind of Barnum and Bailey circus.
Or the person who does the to be continued at the end of a 1930s movie serial.
Like a Batman episode from the 1960s.
Find out next week in the thrilling climax.
Will Batman be able to save himself? It's good. Actually, we could probably double down on that one. But yeah, okay, so the pitch there from the AI voice was the Wrestlepalooza is a big deal for a new revenue model, really. From what I can understand, it's a new revenue model. We were lucky in Australia to get this through Netflix. We don't have to juggle the issue that this is kind of flagging, that the Wrestlepalooza is so it's a live stream event. Right, which means, what is a live stream event? It's like recorded live. You're watching it live.
So it's a premium live event. So
premium live.
The business model for wrestling for many years, same as it was for professional boxing as well, is that it's not broadcast on free-to-air TV. To make money off it, it's broadcast through pay-per-view. So you go down to your local cable supplier, you pay $30 for exclusive viewing rights, and you watch it live as it airs. And so that was the way that WWE handled itself for many years. But recently they've started broadcasting live, first to Peacock and then to Netflix. So they're no longer called pay-per-views. They are now called premium live events. So the idea is that if you are a subscriber of the streaming service that carries it, you don't have to pay anything extra for it. You just watch it when it airs live.
In Australia, Netflix gives you that, but in the US, that's not the case, right? You have to get all these other streaming services. Is that right, or am I wrong?
That's right. So in Australia, we're very fortunate if you're a WWE fan. Everything is on Netflix. So as long as you pay for a Netflix subscription, you're all good. But in America, Raw is on Netflix. The premium live events are now on ESPN. SmackDown, I believe, is on Peacock. And NXT airs on the CW. Plus, Saturday night's main event airs on NBC and is also simulcast to YouTube. And there's also the Speed Championships, which take place on X, formerly known as Twitter. So that's 6 different channels.
Yeah.
If you want to watch WWE in the States.
That is really crazy to me because you can understand there's differences between them, but Raw and SmackDown being on different channels, that's crazy.
They've always been on different channels and they've been on cable. Actually, for many years, because Raw's always been cable TV, but SmackDown for many years was on free-to-air TV. But I mean, in the age of streaming, the fact that they're on different apps in America is it's goofy.
One of the things I hadn't realized until I was looking into what this big premium live event media deal with ESPN was that some fans have said that it's just another strategy of WWE to try and shut out their competitor, which I didn't know was there, called AEW. And so they're, what's it called? They're broadcasting at the same time. It's a... what is it? Some fans feel WWE is struggling to compete with AEW and are urging WWE to focus on its original strengths instead of trying to counter-programming.
AEW.
Right?
All Elite Wrestling.
AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I've never seen it. Have you?
No.
Yeah. What is All Elite Wrestling about?
All Elite Wrestling is it's a very different style of wrestling to WWE because originally it was sort of like I guess like the Avengers of pro wrestling. It was guys from Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling and ex-WWE guys who all came together and they were like, let's put on something that has really high work rate and less cartoony storylines than WWE has.
And that would translate to more physical kind of wrestling or...
More physical, more acrobatic, and generally speaking, matches... can go for longer. A really nasty hallmark of WWE is that on free-to-air TV, on the weekly shows, most major matches will end in disqualification to build anticipation for the premium live event, which is then the blow off, the climax of that feud. Whereas AEW goes, let's just put on really good matches that have decisive finishes every week.
And I guess that's the like I was watching South Park old episodes recently, and I saw their parody of WWE, which is reduced entirely to that it's all drama. It's all like watching, the Young and the Restless, the Brave and the Bold, Dynasty, it's all just, you're sleeping with my wife, or these kind of high escalation drama moments. What's the term for that in wrestling where it's just the storyline? You've got... obviously the kind of kayfabe of it, but also the
anything that happens within
feuds, the push,
anything that happens within
swerve,
anything that happens within within the fictional landscape of a wrestling organization is called that's called an angle. And that is kayfabe. Sorry, let me rephrase. Anything that happens within the fictional world of a wrestling promotion is called kayfabe. So, for example, a really good example was, Well,
I guess
I'm just trying to think.
In the Wrestlepalooza we're talking about, Cena versus Lesnar.
Yes.
There's storytelling there, right?
Yes.
That's a feud.
There are no actual physical contests in professional wrestling. It's all predetermined. So then they're not competitions. They're performances. An angle is an ongoing storyline. A feud is when one character is having a rivalry with another character, and a swerve is when something unexpected happens.
So in the Wrestlepalooza that was recently aired. You have a couple of feuds. You've got the Cena versus Lesnar, which is described as a career-spanning rivalry. Then you've got Rhodes and McIntyre's story, which revolves around betrayal and redemption. And then Punk Lee versus Rollins, Punk/Lee versus Rollins/Lince is about pride and couple rivalry. Are those characterizations linked to their stories in any way, or
somewhat? So to call Lesnar and Cena career spanning is somewhat accurate, because their first match was at Backlash in 2003, and they also trained together in Ohio Valley Wrestling back in the early 2000s. But while Cena was consistently with WWE from sort of 2002 to 2015, and after that he was part-time for about 9 years, and he's been full-time this year. It's his final year. Lesnar had an insane 2-year run, so early 2002 to early 2004, then just walked and came back about 10 years later, and he's been a part-timer ever since. He has not wrestled a match on TV since 2004. All of Lesnar's matches are premium live events, and he is basically the final boss of WWE. So essentially, the idea is that he's this unstoppable force. So if you manage to get Lesnar is an unstoppable force who basically, like, you'll have a wrestler who's doing really well, having a great time, then Lesnar will show up, hit them with like 5 F5s, and that'll be it, and take them to Suplex City.
Yep.
And his matches, generally speaking, are not very interesting.
Well, let's jump into because I was reading a Reddit post, the post-WWE Wrestlepalooza 2025 discussion thread, and they had the Cena versus Lesnar match, and the summary of it is it's seen by many people on that forum post as a disaster and a huge letdown, with a 0 out of 10 rating from one user on that Reddit post. What was your take on the Cena versus Lesnar match? Is it as disastrous and huge letdown as some of the Reddit commentators are suggesting?
Let's address the elephant in the room right away. Brock Lesnar is implicated in the sex trafficking lawsuit that Vince McMahon is being investigated for in real life. This is not part of the story. He should be anathema. He should be anathema. I do not know why he's been brought back. The word on the grapevine is that Cena specifically requested Brock Lesnar because he's had matches against him in the past, and he really wants to fight him one more time before he goes. And the Cena retirement tour is not about putting over new talent, because usually a wrestler who's got one foot out the door will be losing high-profile matches to make the new guys look good. Yep. But Cena just wants to fight his old buddies one more time, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. But he wanted to fight Lesnar again. So Lesnar comes back at the end of SummerSlam after Cena's turned babyface again, after his questionable role as a villain.
Because he turned heel with Cody.
Yeah.
And that was really great. That coincided with the Trump and Zelensky White House catastrophe. And Jon Stewart was explaining why that mattered so much in terms of the Cena heel turn as that moment where, the US had turned heel with the relationship with the Ukraine. So that's all past, right? Which seems such a wasted opportunity to me. I thought that would be through the year. So were you surprised at how quickly Cena's turned babyface again? And
yeah, because there's no, and this actually ties into the issue with Lesnar, because there was no build-up. There was no redemption arc. He didn't do anything heroic. He literally just turned up to SmackDown one day and said to Cody, "I'm sick of being of being a heel. I want to be a good guy again." That was it. There's no, you think of all the ways that they could have done it. I mean, one of the comparisons is, Cody versus Cena is essentially the second coming of The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, where in storyline, Hogan's a bad guy and Rock basically wants to beat a face turn out of him, and that's what he does. Through their match, The Rock convinces Hulk Hogan to turn babyface again, and that just but they did it back to front with Cena and Cody. Cena comes out, announces he's a babyface again, and then he walks into their championship match at SummerSlam as a babyface. But getting back to Brock Lesnar, because at the end of that match at SummerSlam where Cody wins, he's got the title back. It's a big moment. He leaves the ring, lets Cena have his moment. Everyone's chanting, "Thank you, Cena." And then Brock Lesnar's music hits. Brock Lesnar comes out, hits him with one F5, and then leaves.
Right.
And the issue is that there's never a storyline. It's just Brock Lesnar appears, he disappears, as he often does, comes back, in the middle of like Cena's last ever SmackDown was a few weeks ago, and it was an absolutely incredible episode. Did this beautiful promo, and then Sami Zayn, the new US champ, comes out, declares he's issuing an open challenge, has this incredible match against Cena, and then Brock Lesnar comes out, hits both of them with F5s, walks off, and says, "John Cena, I'll see you at Wrestlepalooza." I'm not going to say the next thing that he says. But here's the really funny part, because again, there's no actual storyline, there's no promo confrontation, there's no exchange of words between Cena and Lesnar. That was very, very clearly advertised as Cena's last SmackDown ever. The following week, Lesnar comes out on SmackDown and says, "I'm looking for John Cena." Bro, the last week was his last episode. And the best part is, the week after, 2 weeks in a row on SmackDown, Lesnar comes out and he says he's looking for John Cena.
And that's the story.
That's the story. John Cena's not here, Brock Lesnar. You interrupted his last match ever on his last episode of SmackDown ever and caused it to get thrown out. This story does not make sense. There is no story. And that's the problem, because there is no story. It's just Lesnar shows up for no reason, declares that he's going to beat up John Cena at Wrestlepalooza for no reason. Cena has an excellent promo where he says he's scared of Brock Lesnar, and you're expecting a Cena wins lol moment like it's 2009 again.
Right.
And then he just has the absolute tar beaten out of him by Brock Lesnar for 8 minutes.
Right.
Lesnar gets the pinfall in. Lesnar wins, and you're watching it going, what was the point of that? What was the point of all of that? They full on show, the cameraman shows a kid in the audience who's got tears running down his face. He's wearing the John Cena baseball cap and t-shirt, and you're looking going, how has this helped anyone?
Yeah. Okay, so because I was struggling myself, so I did find a YouTube short with a WWE commentator not commentator, but the discussant trying to unpack what it was. So let's hear it.
What I was basically told is that
Uncle Dave.
John is very unselfish, and his job is, he knows on the way out that he wants to make people,
Because Brock Lesnar wasn't made.
Well, he wants to make big stars, so he felt that was. I mean, it was. It's his call, and that was his call. A lot of guys, when they're on their way out, I mean, their call is to lose and to put the other guy over, and that was John's call. I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's Paul Levesque's call, right? But if John says that, it's not like Paul Levesque's going to go, no, you have to, and especially when Brock is the one staying and he's the one leaving, and whatever they have planned for Brock, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, they got to put him against Cody Rhodes. I mean, or somebody like that, right? I mean, if you're going to beat John Cena, if you beat John Cena, you got to set him up for something big.
So if he beat,
it's not Dave Meltzer if he's not saying, at least 5 or 6 times. That man has got. You see his office, and his office looks like his mind must look, because it's just got decades of papers strewn across the floor. And so it just doesn't look healthy.
So for those who don't know, I mean,
sorry,
who are we hearing from there?
That's Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer is the writer and publisher of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It's a dirt sheet which has insider goss and reviews of matches. Has been going since, I think, 1980, possibly earlier. Has been called the most accomplished wrestling journalist of all time. And he's also an accomplished sports journalist outside of that newsletter as well. And yeah, he's basically saying it comes down to Paul Levesque, Triple H, who's the chief content officer, who does what. But Cena apparently wanted to put Brock over and make Brock look really strong. He doesn't need it. Meltzer's talking about Brock having another match with Cody. Well, they've already had their trilogy in 2023. They had 3 matches, and Cody came out the winner, 2-1. And again, Brock Lesnar is implicated in a sex trafficking ring.
Right.
What is he doing?
Yeah, trying to make him big, because it's quite common, as you said, setting up at the start, quite common when you're on your way out. Last year, you want to lose the match to make the guys that are there, give them a leg up.
Yeah.
And that's not controversial, but I guess, the controversy is, Lesnar. Have you any other fallout from that?
People are just upset that they spent this awkward wishy-washy build, and Cena's only got about 5 appearances left, not 5 matches, 5 appearances, and they wasted a promo and a premium live event match on Brock Lesnar. And so people are just not happy about that. They think, well, there is a silver lining to this, though, because people are going, well, we really wanted one more match with AJ Styles, considered one of the greatest high-flying wrestlers ever, and he's going to retire next year as well. And because obviously we can't build this up on TV, Cena jumps on X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweets to Triple H, hey, let's make Cena versus Styles happen one more time if people like it. That tweet gets liked and shared thousands of times. Wow. So Triple H takes to Twitter and goes, it's official. Cena versus AJ Styles at Crown Jewel in Perth.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because the Perth thing's happening. Yeah. So when's that in the calendar? Is
October 11th, Saturday, October
soon.
11th, yeah. So basically because Cena in the last couple of months, since turning babyface again, has just turned into Mega Man. So he just uses...
Right.
Much like Mega Man will steal weapons from his robot rivals, Cena has been using his old rivals' finishing moves, and he used the Styles Clash in a match, I believe it was against Logan Paul quite recently, and so because they had a really acclaimed trilogy of matches in 2016 and 2017, people want to see Styles versus Cena one last time, and so they've made it happen on X, formerly known as Twitter. And so, which is really nice.
Yes.
So basically, we had to wade through this, but we will get this. We will get a one last Styles versus Cena, and I am convinced, because afterwards you see Brock Lesnar in kayfabe, obviously, talking to Paul Heyman, who's the manager of a heel team known as The Vision. So every year there's Survivor Series, which has a 5-on-5 match. So I'm convinced Lesnar's going to join The Vision. So The Vision's going to be the heel team. Cena's going to be on the babyface team. And I will eat my shoe if it doesn't climax with Cena getting the pin on Lesnar to win for the babyfaces.
So I was wondering about whether it's a face versus heel thing, right? Of course, John Cena, retiring hero, and Brock Lesnar. I don't know if I agree with the way the AI has defined Brock Lesnar as Cena's brutal rival. But
they've been rivals for years. Like
Brutal?
Brutal is absolutely correct, because like Lesnar uses a really hard hitting style. He's one of the few guys left who can actually draw blood from an opponent's forehead by elbowing them. And also but the other thing is that Lesnar is so out of shape. Like he is exceptionally muscular, but his cardiovascular health is shot. He was turning purple in this match. He was turning purple.
When I looked on the shorts for Wrestlepalooza, one came up with this whole steroid Lesnar discussion and discourse around him.
And speaking of discourse, we've been talking about this match longer than the match went for. Let's talk about another one from Wrestlepalooza.
Well, I just wanted to ask about the kayfabe, right? So, would it be right in characterizing Wrestlepalooza as the entire card and stories which are played as real? This is Cena's farewell battle and AJ Lee's emotional comeback.
It's one of his last matches, and it is AJ Lee's first match in 10 years.
Right.
I mean, he did get the Stone Cold exit where everyone was cheering him as he left, and everyone was going, "Thank you, Cena," which was nice.
So we got and in terms of I'm trying to sort out some wrestling terms. So this Wrestlepalooza might be useful to figure it out. So kayfabe, work, and shoot. So kayfabe being the portrayal of staged events as real or true. So the whole farewell battle that Cena does, AJ Lee's emotional comeback are staged events?
They're staged events, but there's some grounding in reality, because Cena is going to retire in a couple of months, and AJ Lee did have her first match in 10 years. I mean, ultimately, the difference between kayfabe and real life is essentially The Undertaker is a Western biker mortician zombie who has come back to life twice. And
That's his character.
And can teleport. That's kayfabe. In real life, he is Mark Calloway, who is a professional wrestler who likes motorcycles and crawfish boils.
All right. So the next term, in terms of, were there moments in Wrestlepalooza where we could see the concept of work happening? That is a staged or planned part of wrestling.
I would say the entire 3 hours and 30 minutes of Wrestlepalooza were a work.
So there were 2 examples that AI gave. So I'm curious if you'd agree. So Lesnar vowing to end Cena's career which she's saying is scripted, and then the assertion of Naomi's title vacated and now up for grabs is part of an ongoing storyline.
Yes.
So unpacking that Naomi's title, what was the work that was going on there?
The work essentially was the title being contested because the outcome is predetermined in every wrestling match.
Right.
So every wrestling match is a work. And because you work the crowd, you want to get the crowd emotionally invested so they feel a certain way when the match concludes. Because wrestling is storytelling. Yep. You want the crowd to feel a certain way.
Unless you get, is it called shoot? Right? An unscripted real-life occurrence in a wrestling context.
Yes.
A shoot.
So shoot is something that is not part of the fictional narrative. It's something that's for realsies.
There were no shoots in Wrestlepalooza, though.
Not really.
I couldn't figure anything.
I will. Okay, so I mean, there are the way that people react to things, but I mean, because often there's a layer of truth to wrestling. So at the women's world title match. So essentially, what happened was that. So a villainous wrestler called Naomi got hold of the women's world title back in July. It's been contested by a series of baby faces ever since. Stephanie Vaquer, who is reasonably new to WWE, she won a battle royal, which made her the number one contender. So the idea was that it would be Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquer for the title at Wrestlepalooza, but then Naomi got pregnant.
Right, that's a shoot, right?
Yeah.
Pregnancy, real life, unscripted thing happened.
Yes.
Pregnancy. And this is in the context of wrestling. So there was a storyline, a work, a kayfabe that was going on there. But then a shoot happened.
Yeah.
Is that how you use it in a sentence?
Well,
shoot happened. She got shooted.
Yeah, I mean, her farewell, her promo where she got on the mic and vacated the title was absolutely a shoot. Because she was talking about how happy she was, or how much she'd worked to become the champion, and how she was sad she had to leave now, but that she was glad that she got to go and be a mum.
Yep.
But there was also an element of work in there because she was still delivering it somewhat in character. And her Twitter is 100% in character. When AJ Lee, who was one of the biggest women wrestlers of sort of 2014, 2015, when she came back, Naomi said, I'm going to crash out on Twitter. I'm going to crash out at all of y'all now that she's back as soon as I leave. Just still talking very much in character. But I mean, so there are a couple of moments that could be considered shoot. I mean, when Stephanie Vaquer won the Women's World Championship after she'd been wrestling for 15, 16 years, and this is the culmination, this is her dream come true, she burst into tears. And although in kayfabe, obviously, she's just won a grueling fight and she's relieved that she's got her title, but still in real life, the titles are predetermined, but they still have a lot of weight to them because it's basically the creative saying, we think you're one of the best and we want to give you the recognition you deserve.
Yeah. Best shoot of all time in wrestling?
Without question, the Montreal Screwjob. Without question.
What went down?
This is one that we've watched.
Yeah.
So Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in real life despise each other. They've made allegations that the other was being unfaithful to their wife. They've politicked towards each other. They're just not friends. Shawn Michaels has done everything, and Shawn Michaels. So basically, at the start of the year, Bret Hart is sort of the main villain of WWE, and then Shawn Michaels goes, no, I want to be the main villain. And so he becomes an even worse villain and starts taking away all of Bret's heat, and Bret's really jealous. Yeah. Also, Shawn was the champion at the start of 1997, the year this takes place, and he was supposed to drop the belt to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, because that's what happened the previous year. Bret Hart had dropped the belt to Shawn Michaels, but then Shawn Michaels, quote-unquote, lost his smile, and had to forfeit the championship because he didn't want to give it back to Bret. He didn't want to. Wow. He didn't want to lose the match to Bret. So
that's just petty politics, really.
Petty politics. So the Montreal Screwjob is Survivor Series 1997.
Right.
Bret Hart has to leave for WCW because McMahon has said, "I can't afford to pay your salary anymore, and they're offering you more money than I can pay you. I'll release you from contract and go to WCW, but you got to drop the belt to Shawn at Survivor Series in Montreal." And Bret is Canadian. Shawn's from Texas, and Bret goes, "I'm not dropping the belt to Shawn in Montreal.
Yeah, right.
No way. So I'm happy. I'll drop it to Stone Cold. I'll forfeit it, but I'm not dropping it to Sean. And so what my man goes is, okay, so here's what we'll do. We will have members of both of your factions, D-Generation X and the Hart Foundation, hit the ring. It'll get thrown out, and you can forfeit the title tomorrow night on Raw. How about that? And Brett goes, okay, that's cool. And he's having a chat to one of the other wrestlers, Vader, and Vader says to him, in real life, very much in real life, don't get put in a submission hold.
Oh, wow.
Because I've seen screw jobs happen in the past. So what happens at the match?
Because a submission hold you're not going to be able to get out of.
And
right?
the idea
it'd
is
be a real wrestling move.
Yeah. So in because normally it's a the referee's hand hits the mat 3 times when you're being pinned, and that signals that the match is over.
Yeah.
Whereas a submission is very much you have to verbally say I give up if you're being held in a submission hold. So what happens is that in the match, McMahon appears ringside. This is before he was acknowledged as the owner of the company in Universe.
Oh, right.
And he's there the entire time. He's visibly very angry with Hart and Michaels the entire time. And here's what's really strange about the match. The match starts with about a 10-minute brawl outside the ring before they actually get in there and start the match. And it's 2 guys who legitimately hate each other in real life, but they're still doing all the worked punches and the choreographed flips and stuff. But is this a real fight? It's weird. But anyway, the match climaxes with Shawn Michaels has put Bret Hart into the sharpshooter, which is Bret's own submission move. And McMahon runs up to the timekeeper and screams at him, "Ring the fucking bell!" And so they go, oh, yeah, Bret submitted. Yep, Michaels is the champion now. Bret didn't submit. He spits on McMahon from the ring and then just starts wrecking all of their gear. And then traces with his finger WCW towards the hard cam to let people know where he's going. So that was very much a shoot. Another example, which is a lot less long-winded, is that... So yeah, that's the most famous shoot of all time. Another example, which I think is defines what a shoot is versus what a work is. WrestleMania 2, Roddy Piper versus Mr. T in a worked boxing match. So
nice, Mr. T.
Yeah. So Roddy Piper hated Mr. T in the mid-1980s.
Right.
Because he didn't like that Mr. T rocked up for the WrestleMania 1 main event over all the other boys who'd been working.
Yeah.
And he was like, he doesn't respect our business, he doesn't respect us, and he's taking money away from us. So they're having a worked boxing match. Before they start boxing, Piper has his hands taped into fists before they go into his gloves, so he can't do anything to Mr. T, because they know that he's really hacked off. So it's a worked boxing match where the outcome is predetermined, much like real professional boxing. But there's a moment where Piper just loses it, and he's opposite end. When they're in their corners, Piper picks up a stool and just throws it as hard as he can at Mr. T, clearly trying to hurt him. That was a shoot, because normally you try not to hurt the other person, but that was like, nah, I just want to hurt this dude.
God. All right, turns and gimmicks. So in terms of Wrestlepalooza and turns and gimmicks, right? So turn is when a wrestler changes alignment from heel to face or vice versa. Drew McIntyre.
There were no turns at Wrestlepalooza.
He didn't, okay.
Drew McIntyre is a heel through and through.
Displayed heel behavior attacking Cody Rhodes after a contract signing, solidifying his turn from tweener face to definitive heel.
Is this what ChatGPT is telling you?
Yeah.
ChatGPT is full of it, because Drew McIntyre is a heel, and he's been a heel for at least 2 years.
I'm failing this assignment.
Drew McIntyre is not a tweener.
Because a tweener is where you're in between.
Morally neutral, essentially.
All right.
Like the 2 most famous tweeners of all time are Stone Cold Steve Austin and Macho Man Randy Savage. They're not good guys, they're not bad guys, they just want to win.
Like Han Solo, right? They're just anti-hero or hero. Or at least the first film. I guess big turns that have happened this year. Obviously, Cena's turn.
Cena's was the biggest. Naomi's was probably the second biggest, because her entire character changed. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins both turned either at WrestleMania or the night after WrestleMania, and they're part of the main heel faction right now. And they were part of a match at WrestlePalooza, which was... Dave Meltzer called it the most anticipated husband and wife mixed tag match in wrestling history, because so Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are married in real life. He's the world heavyweight champ. She's the women's intercontinental champ, and they are 2 of the main villains of Raw right now. And Seth's arch enemy this year, who he's had this long-running feud with, is CM Punk. CM Punk had left the company in 2014. He actually got fired on his wedding day.
Is that part of a work? Or...
No.
That wasn't a work. So
he got fired on his wedding day.
That was
in
a
real
shoot?
Life. That was a thing, just a thing that happened in real life. It didn't happen The cameras were not on. He just got served termination papers on his wedding day.
An unscripted real life occurrence in a wrestling context.
There was no wrestling context. He just got fired.
He got fired from his job wrestling, though.
Yeah. So yeah, that was for shootsies. But anyway.
Well, just to go back, I mean, would you say that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch as wrestling's greatest couple is a gimmick? In terms of the language of wrestling, gimmick is a character's persona, appearance, or style. Do you reckon that's a persona of Rollins and Lynch?
Only
wrestling's
possibly?
greatest couple.
I mean, like that would be both a work and a shoot because they're two people who have had prominent roles in WWE for about 10 years each now. So in real life, they are two of the top performers. Although people say that Seth isn't the guy; he's the guy who works with the guy. So he's basically the rival for whoever's drawing the most money.
Right. Well, how about the Usos?
The Usos,
right? The Usos, right? Hype their family legacy and reunion motif.
Yeah. So they are twin brothers in real life and in storyline. They are the sons of Rikishi, who was a really big player in the Attitude Era.
Would that be a gimmick? That's their identity. That's their persona. Or gimmick, as you're saying, you're really looking for something clearer, like the Undertaker's gimmick is he is a otherworldly being that's able to transport. And so there weren't really any strong gimmick plays in Wrestlepalooza.
Not really, to be honest. Because we're in sort of we're in an era right now where it's sort of more true to life than anything else, where the characters are strongly influenced by their real life personas, unless they're unrepentant villains, obviously. So I mean, Seth and Becky definitely have the whole gimmick thing going on because Seth's intro that he says every single Raw is, he goes, "I'm a visionary, I'm a revolutionary, I am," and then the audience goes, "Seth freaking Rollins!" Because basically his thing is that he's a mastermind planner and manipulator. That's the character that he plays, and he's playing the head of this villainous faction called the Vision right now, which is named after his nickname, the Visionary. So that's his gimmick, and Becky's gimmick at the moment, because it's the bad guys who get the stronger gimmicks than the heroes at the moment. The heroes basically play themselves. The bad guys play fictional characters more often than not.
Oh, really? Right. Well, it's interesting. In video games, I've heard the same thing in terms of people, statistically, if you've got like a Red Dead Redemption or a game where you're given a moral compass, you can go bad or good. Most people will play good because it's closer to who they want to be in life. It's less upsetting. So it's interesting in wrestling that people are happy to encapsulate and incorporate the babyface as part of who they are. But when it's a heel, they're very clear to people around them, this is a character. You know, I'm not like this.
Oh, I mean, the most famous occurrence of the heel and the performer being the same is McMahon, who was always like, "Oh no, Mr. McMahon is a character that I play. I'm nothing like that in real life. I don't go around verbally abusing my employees and firing them on their wedding days and running a sex trafficking ring."
Well, yes, the problem is if you are really the heel in real life, you're a reprehensible being that will face hopefully some moral crisis. All right, booking.
Sorry.
So WrestleMania as a booking event, right? The planning and arrangement of matches and storylines. What was it like as a booking for Wrestle? Like, it paired some legends together. We got some big names, major rivalries happening. We got some maximized fan emotions.
Maximized fan emotions is definitely the three really big moments were just the emotion when Cena lost, the emotion when Stephanie Vaquer finally won the women's world title, because even though she's only been in WWE for a year, she's been grinding for 15 years in a whole bunch of different promotions. She's been working hard, and people wanted her to win, and they knew she was going to win because she had a long sit-down interview with Chris Van Vliet the other day. He's one of the really big wrestling content creators right now because he interviews all the major stars. Which is good for him because otherwise he'd be known as the guy who asked Anne Hathaway about her weight during The Dark Knight Rises.
Was that in the movie as a line of dialogue, or was this behind the screens?
It was when he was interviewing her. He said, "How much weight?" He said, "How much weight did you have to lose?"
Really?
Yeah.
That was a shoot.
Yeah, it was absolutely a shoot. And the other really big emotional moment was AJ Lee coming back.
And this is creating stakes or surprises, those moves?
It was so she came back on SmackDown, I think 3 weeks ago. So that was already, and it was also the worst kept secret in wrestling, because the whole reason why she's come back is because so Punk and Seth have had this blood feud going since the start of the year. They've had about 8 matches together, Becky Lynch got involved in a match that Seth and Punk were a part of a couple of weeks ago at Clash in Paris. Punk has the match won when she comes out of nowhere and whacks him in the stones, and then
Nut job.
Yep.
Classic.
Nut shots him in a no disqualification match, and then Seth gets a pinfall, and then says, "Oh yeah, my wife was with me all this time." And then the following night on Raw, and this is one of the she's hilarious as a heel, because she just acts like a schoolyard bully. She's like standing there, she's just slapping CM Punk across the face, going, "What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do?" Just slapping him, and he's just not reacting. And then so the following SmackDown.
Would that be her gimmick, that she's a schoolyard bully kind of performance? Yes.
Absolutely. And also that she brags about how she's Pro Wrestling Illustrated says that I'm the best female professional wrestler in the world. Pro Wrestling Illustrated says that. She's clearly having a lot of fun playing this villainous character.
Right.
And so the big twist at the following SmackDown, which was spoiled because her merch was on sale earlier that day.
Oh, really? That was tipping off? Like it was
Yeah.
merch in conversation with what was...
Yeah. So Punk's real life wife, AJ Lee, comes back. She was a wrestler 10 years ago for about only about 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And she comes back so she can help him against Becky Lynch. She beats the snot out of Becky Lynch on SmackDown. And the following Raw, the mixed tag match is set. Punk and AJ versus Seth and Becky.
And there was merch for...
There was merch for AJ on sale before she made her surprise return.
Right.
And it's funny because in their first run together back in 2012, 2013, AJ would wear Punk's merch shirts. This time he was wearing her merch shirts, which is really cute.
Yes.
Because they've been married for about 10 years now in real life. So that was very much shootsies. And... the crowd actually, it was funny because on Raw, the following Raw, he introduces himself as AJ's husband, and the crowd starts chanting, "AJ's husband!" So when he comes out for their match at Wrestlepalooza, he's wearing his usual bomber jacket, which has got AJ's husband written on it, and other wrestlers have worn that on the following episode of Raw. So that's absolutely going to be on sale.
Well, what did you think of Wrestlepalooza in terms of the promos which were going down? So these were scripted speech or interviews used to build storyline.
Premium live events normally don't have too many promos. So the way that it's normally structured is that on the weekly TV shows, Raw and SmackDown, you have your promos where wrestlers will have a war of words, or one will do a soliloquy to the audience in the TV. So you're building anticipation, you're giving context to the match. You have all your story beforehand. So when we get to the premium live event, the match means that much more.
And then promos, and again, this is where you'll have that distinction of AEW, where they'll have promos but not as much as...
AEW is quite unique because I don't watch Dynamite or Collision, but it's my understanding that AEW mostly has matches on its weekly shows, and all of its storyline and promos and such are done on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, really?
You have to go to social media to see all the storyline stuff.
Yeah. Whereas, okay, so in WWE, though, you'll have at the end of a match, or the start of a match, or as they've got cameras behind the scenes, the wrestlers will directly give storyline. Will give...
Not really. So they usually it's very segregated. Either we're doing a promo or we're doing a match.
Oh, really? Right.
And it's occasionally you might see a short promo on a premium live event, but it's pretty rare these days. The closest thing was when they had that backstage segment with Cena, with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. But other than that, there were no real promos at Wrestlepalooza. One of my favorite matches of all time is WrestleMania 38, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens, purely because Austin wasn't on weekly TV. The way that they do the match is that they actually... Kevin Owens had his own talk show at the time called The KO Show, so it actually starts out with him coming out and slagging off Austin. Austin comes out, sits down, they have an interview together where they're just insulting each other, and then the match happens. So you have the entire feud done in the space of about half an hour,
my.
which I think is just... I wish there was more stuff like that because it's just so entertaining. to have the whole thing sort of summed up so neatly.
Yes.
Because generally speaking, you want the promos, you got to watch the TV show, and then you see sort of lower mid-card acts, and then you want the really big blow-offs, you watch the premium live events, and they always have hype packages that recap the promos that have happened. They edit them together. So you can get some meaning out of it, but it makes more sense if you watch the weekly shows.
So in terms of, I guess, the other main terminology with wrestling, you've got your moves, match types, and spots. How did those signature moves go during Wrestlepalooza? Was there a sense of, like you were mentioning, how Cena's been co-opting moves, signature moves of various wrestlers? You had Lesnar's F5. Is that the keyboard F5? Is that a reference to...
It's a reference to the hurricane.
I don't know.
To the tornado, because he basically
Really?
puts...
I mean, the F5 key is a pretty bloody good key on the keyboard.
Refresh, isn't it?
It is refresh. It refreshes your screen.
Basically, the way it works is that he puts the other guy over his shoulders horizontally in a fireman's carry, and then throws them off and spins them so they spin until they hit the mat.
Oh,
yeah, I've seen
right.
that,
Yes. Simulating a tornado. But I mean, if we're talking about signature moves, let's see. So Punk and Seth hit each other's signature moves on each other, which is one of their trademarks they do in their matches. Seth's signature move is the curb stomp, and Punk's is the go to sleep, which starts off similar to the F5,
Right.
where you hoist a dude horizontally, but you throw him onto his feet,
Yep.
and as he's falling, you get the knee into his face.
Right, which would look visually damaging and
Yeah,
would
Punk's,
put someone to sleep.
Punk doesn't really move as smoothly as he used to. Cena did a go to sleep again in his match against Sami Zayn the other week that was absolutely crisp. And if we're talking about signature moves, we've got to just mention one thing very briefly. So Cena's had matches against most of his old rivals. So he's had a match against Lesnar, had a match against CM Punk, had a match against Randy Orton, and he's going to have a match against AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. But his arch enemy from 2006 to 2009, the guy who made him the big hero of WWE, was Edge, Adam Copeland. And I saw a brilliant interview with Edge the other day where he was talking about that initial creative process where he was like, I want to be the biggest heel of my generation. Like, I want to be Roddy Piper. I want to be Macho Man Randy Savage as a heel. So he goes up to Cena and he says to him, I promise I will not try to out-wrestle you. I do not want them to cheer me. I will make you look good. I want them to boo me. And so they ended up working exceptionally well together because we had one guy who wants to get cheered, one guy who wants to get booed, and they trusted each other, and they became really good friends outside the ring. Even though they're playing arch enemies inside it.
Yes.
And in response to Cena hitting so one of his moves that he hit was he hit Edge's spear, which starts with a taunt from the corner where he's basically making the hand gestures and rubbing his hand through his hair, then hits the spear from across the ring. And it's funny because Michael Cole, the commentator, because Edge is no longer with WWE, said, "Oh, that's the Roman Reigns spear, obviously." But Adam Copeland responded to that at All Out on Sunday when Wrestlepalooza was cast. He hit John Cena's finishing sequence.
Really? Even on a competing station?
On a competing station, he hit the two shoulder charges, the proto bomb, the five knuckle shuffle. The five knuckle shuffle is brilliant because the way that happens is that Cena will hold his hand up with all five fingers spread out over a downed opponent, bend over, wave this hand in front of his face, and the entire audience chants, "You can't see me," because that's his classic taunt. And so he's never wrestled in AEW, never been on AEW once. And when Adam Copeland did that taunt, the whole AEW arena was chanting, "You can't see me" at him.
So the fandom, clearly does go across both.
Oh, absolutely. Well, AEW's only been around for about 6 years. So most adults who watch now would have watched WWE when they were kids.
Yes.
And in fact, they get a lot of mileage out of ex-WWE guys who are sick of not getting to work the matches they want, just going to AEW.
Another term, a spot, a specific move or sequence planned during a match. It says here, a high-stakes spots and shocking moments like AJ Lee's first bump in 10 years or a violent Lesnar-Cena finish.
Yeah, so basically that's what will happen is that people will meet up in the backstage area and go, let's do this bit here, this bit here, this bit here, and these will be really big dramatic moments in the match.
Right, spots.
Yeah. One of the most famous spots of all time is the ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels at 1994 WrestleMania 10. Michaels climbs to the top of the ladder and then jumps off, and he does a full splash on Razor Ramon. Another one is when Mankind, in his match against The Undertaker at King of the Ring, 1998, Hell in a Cell, Taker throws him off the cell, and he splatters all over the table below him.
So they knew they were going to get to that point
Yeah.
as the spot, but again, the A to Z in between parts is where the
magic happens, where they'll basically what they'll do is they'll get each other in rest holds and they'll whisper directions to each other. They might say, I don't know, like running knee into frog splash, something like that. Or basically anytime someone hits their finisher and someone kicks out is a spot. And oftentimes they'll add a little oomph to the finisher. There was a moment at one of the really good spots at Night of the Champions was when Rhea Ripley did her finishing move, the Riptide, on Raquel Rodriguez. Normally it's hit from just standing in the ring, but they went up to the top rope, which had a table on it, and then Rhea hit the Riptide from there to get extra height. It was ridiculous. And tables are the other really famous spots where you'll set up a table, and at some point someone's going through that table.
Yeah. All right, so we've got about 5 minutes left. So looking ahead and takeaways, what does Wrestlepalooza 2025 suggest about WWE's direction for the rest of the year?
That they need to think very hard about the quality of the show they're putting on if they want people to keep paying for it. Because it was fine, but for their first big show on ESPN, for AJ Lee's first match back in 10 years, for seeing his 5th last match and probably his final singles match against, for Stephanie Vaquer winning her first title, fine, wasn't really good enough. And honestly, Stephanie versus Io was the highlight of the show by a mile. That match was superb.
Yes. Yeah, so in terms of matches or rivalries that are going to get set up or that are set up now, has it added to anything?
So it's very much a case of Punk versus Seth is now Punk and AJ versus Seth and Becky. That will absolutely continue. People really want AJ Lee to get the Intercontinental title off Becky, who's having a really good heel run, but she has to lose it at some point. Punk and Seth are going to keep going backwards and forwards because they had multiple matches in the past, but SummerSlam night 1, Punk wins the World Heavyweight Championship off Gunther, beats him clean as a whistle, and then Seth comes out, cashes in Money in the Bank, and pins Punk and takes his title. So now he's got that title that Punk really wants back, so that feud will continue. There'll be another title match in there at some point. The Usos versus The Vision, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. They are having a rematch this coming Monday, which is a no disqualification tornado tag team match. And if Jay doesn't turn heel during that match, I will eat my shoe. At some point, I still think that we're going to see Brock Lesnar and Cena against each other in a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. Io and Stephanie are definitely done. Io's got her own rivalry going on with her ex-teammates from Damage Control, Kairi Sane and Asuka. And other than that... Oh, and the other thing is that with the tag match with the Usos versus The Vision, the special guest referee was LA Knight, who's had issues with Jey Uso and with The Vision for a while now. So that sort of fed into that ongoing conflict.
So in terms of any advice, because I guess, there'll be a few people in Australia that Netflix might be introducing wrestling to, and given we've got the big Perth event around the corner, October 11th, any advice for people wanting to start getting into wrestling, starting to watch WWE or PBV pay-per-view matches? I guess it's Netflix primarily to go to, YouTube. Any things for new fans?
Start with YouTube so you can watch highlights videos. Because highlights videos can go for maybe 10 minutes. Because it is a form of storytelling that it's a long-term storytelling. It rewards you watching every week for 3+ years. So it is very difficult to enter WWE because no matter when you start watching it, you will always have missed out on months, years, if not decades worth of information.
Yeah.
So highlight videos, generally the best time of the year to start watching is around January when they're building up to the Royal Rumble, which then sets up the challenges for the first 2 challenges for titles at WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is the climax of the year, and then some of the big feuds will finish and other big feuds will begin. but also Triple H as Booker just loves long-running storylines, and he loves rematches. As we discussed, CM Punk and Seth Rollins have had 8 matches in their rivalry so far this year. Let's see, 2 on Raw, a tag match on Saturday Night's Main Event, the Triple Threat at Mania, the Fatal 4-Way, they fought at the Rumble, they fought at the Elimination Chamber, and now they've had this 8th match here, plus the cash-in if you want to count that. So 9 matches that these guys have been a part of.
And you can see highlights of those on YouTube.
Yes.
Yep.
And the other thing is that wrestling can be very much an acquired taste because you won't quite understand when you start watching it, because obviously it's all simulated fighting. So it will inherently look less impressive than a real life UFC fight if you're expecting punches that look real, because they don't look real. They look theatrical, but they don't look like they would ever hurt someone. And so basically, there are a lot of YouTubers like Simon Miller who will break, and Wrestling with Regret and Wrestling Bios, 2 other really good ones, and they'll actually break down matches and why they work and why they don't work.
So Simon Miller and Wrestling
with Regret, and for more vintage stuff, Wrestling Bios are good ones to check out, because they discuss the theory of wrestling in a lot of detail, and so you might understand why certain moves are considered really good and some decisions are considered great and some aren't.
Marcus, thank you again for continuing our education here on WWE. I think I'm getting a handle on some of the terms. I do like the shoot and the work. Yeah. I'm going to incorporate that, and probably a feud into Media Mothership with some other shows on Edge Radio. So thanks for listening. Thanks so much, Marcus, for coming. Taylor, I think we've learned a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep listening to Edge Radio. Show notes for this episode and earlier ones will be available in the show descriptions on YouTube or the podcast. You can listen to previous episodes on YouTube, Twitch, or at edgeradio.org.au. Are you out and about doing anything, Marcus? Anything that if people want to find you, they doing any quizzes, events?
Come to the Republic Bar and Cafe at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday night for Funky Bunch Trivia.
Funky Bunch Trivia, 7 p.m. Are there going to be any wrestling questions? You ever put any wrestling questions in there?
Pretty infrequently. I remember there was one about Ric Flair a couple weeks ago, and every time I read out his name, I said, "Woo!" Because that was his catchphrase.
Wow. Well, hopefully we've given some listeners a scoop for this coming Wednesday's quiz. Not putting any pressure on you there. You could mention Media Mothership. What Edge Radio show broadcasts fantastic content every 4 p.m.? Just there, Marcus. You don't need to take that up. But you will. If you have
the first time he's quiet, so...
I don't write the quizzes. They're read-only PowerPoint files. I can't update them.
Great. Okay, so yeah, you can check out links on the Edge Radio site. Thanks again, Marcus, for coming on.
Thanks for having me,
Taylor. Keep listening. I might play some tunes.
Okay, yeah.
Because we got a bit of music after this. But yes, thanks again.
Yo, what's up? This is Edge Radio. Yeah.